What we are seeing in southern Spain on the African continent, they own a little piece of land there, Spain, is absolutely shocking. And for the first time, so shocking that even mainstream media is being forced to broadcast the images of a literal invasion into a European country, Spain. So in Ceuta, my Spanish is very bad, within 24 hours, we saw 60,000 Moroccans or people coming from Morocco, no one knows exactly who they are, pouring into that territory of Spain over the border with 67 dead and the Schengen territory now fracturing as a response. It's a pretty shocking development for the European Union, maybe a good thing for everyone who's critical of migration, of the mass migration and replacement of the European people. And so what we see here is probably the most stark and well broadcasted example of an actual invasion. And there are many, many questions now being asked how this could have happened. So let's go first into a quick video in this weekly update here, in the weekly brief, and see what actually happened and how things could become so terribly bad. So here, for example, you see a video. Look at this. So that is the territory of Spain, and that is the invasion. These people are coming, they're climbing up the fences with boats. Many go, by the way, through the sea because the new government in Spain, the socialist government, they made a decision, and the Supreme Court supported it, that if you come by sea, you can stay, something like that. It's another extremely dumb decision that then makes people go through, instead of just climbing the fence, they're coming through the sea. Many died, by the way. That's very sad. Sorry for the sound. And then you actually have these victims, but you see what's going on there. It's a pretty shocking situation, and that led to unusually high coverage. Normally, these events are not covered in the media because it's not very conducive to the plans. We see here all kinds of people commenting. We see the aggression of these people. Look, they're just basically invading the city. These are all illegal migrants. Shouting Allahu Akbar is also great. So they are like walking or coming into the city. Look, this is a city of 40,000 or 60,000 people or something, and 60,000 are now pouring into that. We will look at the map in a second to understand what's going on. But it's a literal invasion. Imagine that is your town, and suddenly people who don't belong into your country just invade. It's a literally invasion, and that is actually happening right now. So there are some very dubious circumstances here. Here, by the way, you see here's Morocco, here is Spain, and here is the border, and they're just coming across and going into that territory. So that is kind of the situation. And when we look at some more details here, to understand where this entire thing is actually located, you will see, I can show you that in Google Maps. You will see this is actually an old territory. Here is Europe, and down here they own that little piece of Morocco, Spain. This is the larger map here. Gibraltar, here is Spain, and here is Morocco. I can zoom out a little bit more if you're not familiar with the geography. So here is Italy, here is France, here is Spain, and down here is Africa with Algeria and Morocco. And so that place, the Ceuta place that got invaded, is actually here. And what you see was actually happening, you have to zoom out. This is not a normal migration, obviously, as you have seen. We have seen people coming here with trucks protected by the Moroccan police, approaching the border and being then unloaded to then invade Spain. Hey, on this channel, we do something very important. We deeply analyze, understand, and predict capital, AGI, and politics. Not just to beat the markets and make a lot of money, even though that's important, but also to build a new society and make the future good for all of us, the pioneers. If you want to help me on this journey, you can do that by doing a very simple thing: like and subscribe. It helps me a lot. Thank you so much for your support, and let's get back to the video. And you have to understand that for a long time, there is actually a lot of contested fighting over these lands. As you can imagine, these are two countries. One was very powerful, the other one was slightly colonized, and they're very mad still at Spain, and there's a lot of tensions. Morocco is also an ally of Israel, and Israel is actually very mad at Spain. There's a tweet from 2019, son of Netanyahu, saying Spain needs to get punished or will get punished, also through migration. So these spin off a lot of not even conspiracy theories. It's more pretty obvious that this is just a fact, that this is happening, that this is something that Israel likes to see, that Spain is under pressure now. We also know that the Trump administration is not happy with Spain. The Spanish new government is very anti-Israel and very pro-Palestinian. It even prohibited ships to land and use Spanish ports that are going to Israel. So there is a lot of tension. And Morocco is a close ally of the United States and of Israel. And what we saw is that the Moroccan government is definitely supporting and preparing this invasion. And so here you have a very interesting situation that what normally just looks like normal migration, turn this down. What normally is sold to everyone is just normal migration. Some people suspect it's a little bit more than that. In this instance, becomes obvious that this is planned, this is government sponsored. The Moroccan government wants that little piece of land back anyway, which is fine. You can have these debates, but you can't invade other countries. It's just not how it works. And that has now led to a ripple effect across Europe, because now Europeans and even mainstream media was forced to cover this, and it has enormous ripple effects. And that is what we are going to cover in the weekly brief. So to summarize what happened so far, between July 30th and 31st of July, an estimated 60,000 people searched from Morocco into Ceuta, overwhelmingly young men, obviously, and roughly 70% of the city's normal population in a single day. Okay, that is the shocking thing. It basically doubled the city's population. Death toll is at 67. Tens of thousands returned to Morocco within 48 hours under coordinated Spanish-Moroccan pressure. Well, kind of. Spain is now installing a floating sea barrier and has sent a lot of enforcements. And in this weekly brief, we are connecting the dots of that happening. And we are looking now at the ripple effects from Italy, Finland, Denmark, France, actually now exiting Schengen effectively. The Schengen agreement is an agreement that allows everyone within the European Union to have freedom of movement. So you do not need to show passports when you cross borders. In the Schengen zone, you can just travel all around, which is increasingly under pressure as Europeans become extremely unhappy with mass migrations of tens of millions of people who don't belong into Europe, who are now in Europe. A lot of crime explosion all over the place. You might have heard it from Sweden to, of course, UK and France, to Germany, and of course, Spain and Italy. Everyone has massive problems. Everyone is now getting scared. Spain is actually doing a bunch of very stupid things to allow more and more migrants coming in and making them citizens, which leads to an erosion of the European implicit contract of Schengen. Why do you have freedom of movement in the Schengen zone? Because you assume a Spaniard is not that bad and might be able to travel to Germany. But if the Spaniard is actually Sudanese, then things get a little, problematic. Because the whole idea of Schengen zone is you have similar people traveling around in their continent, not the entire world. That creates a lot of problems. So now we see all these countries taking very bold reactions, and we also see very, very unique developments. 22 EU leaders actually signing a joint letter to the Commission, EU Commission, and Ursula von der Leyen she has a lot of problems these days, is under enormous pressure. So that is in the weekly brief, and we are going to take a look there to connect the dots this week, what actually happened here. To see the full weekly brief, go to pioneerlands.org. Every single week, we bring you the latest in politics and the cutting edge developments in the United States and Europe, so we can follow the crazy transformations that are happening in this age of AGI. The matrix is imploding and everything is changing. So check it out on pioneerlands.org. You also find 2 other weekly briefs. One, stocks and capital markets, where we cover stocks like Tesla, SpaceX, and of course the markets as a whole. And we also have an AI Frontier weekly brief, where you learn about the latest models, the latest ChatGPT developments, Anthropic and Claude, Grok, and the Chinese models, so you are up to date also on technology. See you in Pioneerlands.